Good morning. My name is Chris Konetsky. I'm the group publisher for Business Publications. Welcome to the 2026 Commercial Real Estate Forum. Give yourselves a big round of applause for being out here this morning and helping support a great event. We have 6 fantastic speakers joining us today, along with our senior staff writer, Michael Crum, who's going to be tackling some of the most pressing issues shaping commercial real estate today. From the broader economic climate to the office and industrial markets to health and the future of our downtown. Our goal, as it is every year, is to leave you with a clear-eyed, grounded outlook for the greater Des Moines area heading into the coming year, and to do that through the lens of real projects that reflect real trends that are shaping the industry right now. Time, as always, is one of our biggest constraints, and we can only cover so much in a single morning. But that's exactly why we're thrilled to announce that our brand new annual real estate magazine is hot off the press. And at the close of today's event, we're going to unveil the cover. You also have a copy to take home with you as well. But before we get started, I want to take a moment to recognize the sponsors who make this event possible. Please give a big thank you to Community State Bank, Mid-American Energy, Whitfield, Eddy & Law, and all our corporate sponsors. Give them a round of applause for supporting today's event. Our first supporting sponsor today that we're going to hear from is Community State Bank. So at this time, please welcome Brian Hanna. He's the president of Community State Bank to the stage to tell you a bit more about Community State Bank. Give him a big round of applause.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, everyone. Brian Hanna, president, Community State Bank. First, big congratulations to Chris for Ivy College of Business Real Estate Professional of the Year. Well deserved. Thank you to Business Publications for continuing to support commercial real estate, and to the panel for their time and expert opinions that we'll hear later this morning. CSB is a proud sponsor. Real estate is a big part of the bank, and we're really proud of the long-standing relationships that we have in the industry. Next year, Community State Bank will celebrate our 125th anniversary, which is wild to think that we've been around for half of the United States. We're just really proud of our long-standing relationships around Central Iowa. We are excited to announce that we open our headquarters on May 1st. So it's up in Ankeny. And I got to tell you, this is the first real construction process that I've been a part of. And my respect has only grown for everyone involved in that. And I think after this is complete, I'll stick to my day job. Our new headquarters reflects our mission to connect, serve, and build our community. And it hopefully signals our strong financial strength and our commitment to Central Iowa. We hope it's a place that the whole community is proud of. At Community State Bank, we continue to grow, we continue to say yes, and we continue to make decisions close to our clients. We believe a relationship-driven culture combined with local decisions is real value for our clients and for our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Our next supporting sponsor we're going to hear from today is Mid-American Energy. Please welcome Catherine Kuhner, who's with Mid-American Energy. Welcome, Catherine.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's exciting to be here, and it's really fun and special to be a part of the event where Chris Costa gets recognized. He's one of the most honest, kind, humble, thoughtful, effective leaders that we can have, and it's fun to be a part of this celebration to recognize all the achievements that he's done and get to learn from him and his guidance. I think we all have a lot of value and benefits that we receive when he's in our presence. So thank you, Chris, and it's great to get to be in your world. And it's truly humbling when we pause at Mid-American and reflect on our role in partnership with our commercial real estate development friends. We know our responsibility goes beyond simply powering buildings. We're at the heart of powering progress, and we take this responsibility very seriously. As your electric and natural gas utility partner, our role extends into every business and home, making us an integral part of our growth and the progress within development. We recognize that the services we provide touch every aspect of growth in the communities and region. And this is why we have our hands-on approach, and we're uber focused on maintaining the balance of our three-legged stool, which is affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy, while using the all of the above approach to help ensure each project is built on a solid foundation of operational excellence. From the earliest stages of planning, our team collaborates closely with developers. Our expertise and resources are always available, from our business and community development team to our operations and engineering team to our energy efficiency group. Our commitment is steadfast. Of course, we recognize we're not perfect. There will inevitably be moments when we fall short of expectations. In those instances, we're committed to listening, learning, and correcting our mistakes. We view every challenge as an opportunity to improve and strengthen our services and relationships. Our dedication to transparency and continuous improvement ensures we remain responsive to the needs of our partners and communities. Together, we will help propel our continued success while strengthening the resilience and vitality of the region. Thank you for your unwavering dedication and partnership. We look forward to celebrating many more achievements and to deepening our collective impact in the communities and region we proudly serve together. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. Next, I'd like to introduce Whitfield and Eddy to the stage, one of our sponsors today. Please welcome John Fatino, a member attorney at Whitfield and Eddy. Give him a big round of applause.
Well, good morning. I'm John Fatino. I'm a member attorney at Whitfield and Eddy, and I'm chair of our real estate section. Thank you for being here today as part of the Business Record Commercial Real Estate Forum, and it's a great opportunity to celebrate Chris Costa's career as well. You know, Whitfield's been around since 1928. We're one of the largest employers now in the Hub Tower. We have sections that involve real estate, construction, bank finance, real estate development, and if we're not working with you now, we'd welcome the opportunity to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, John, and thank you to all of our event sponsors today and corporate sponsors. Without your partnership, we couldn't put on events like this, so thank you for helping bring everybody together today. It's now time to recognize our 2026 CRE Professional of the Year, and we're fortunate today to be honoring someone who exemplifies what commercial real estate looks like when it's done with integrity, discipline, and genuine care for the people around you. It's my honor to introduce the 2026 Business Record Commercial Real Estate Pro of the Year, Chris Costa. Let's give him a big round of applause. Now, we'll get a chance to embarrass him a little bit here. All right, I'm going to read some nice things about him. Some people measure success by the deals they close. Chris measures them by the ones he walks away from. That discipline and willingness to say no when others would say yes is exactly why he stands out. To quote Dan Housen, who helped nominate Chris today in a letter of support, he is candid without being rude. He values the input of others and listens to all participants' input and thoughts. He's never boastful, always professional, but sets high standards for everyone, including himself. Chris told the Business Record that he has a lot of empathy. And, quote, some people mistake empathy for weakness. That's not it. I've lived with a lot of challenges. I know what it maybe is like to walk in somebody else's shoes. That empathy shapes how he does business, and he's known as a deal maker who looks at every opportunity from every angle, not just for the financial return, but what's right for the property and the community around it. And it doesn't stop at the office door. Chris serves on numerous nonprofit and civic boards, and is currently the chair of the Greater Des Moines Partnership. He's used his voice to fight for those who didn't have the platform to speak for themselves. And he has said the most meaningful moments of his life have come from saying yes to serve, even when the timing wasn't perfect. Chris, we're gonna have an opportunity to hear from you in just a moment, but we've got a special quick little video that we want to do as a tribute. So let's take a moment to watch a quick video, and then we'll hear from Chris.
What makes Chris deserving of the Commercial Real Estate Professional of the Year recognition?
Chris is one of the good guys. I mean, he's always positive, always looking to do the right thing and pull everybody together to make something happen. So Chris is just an integral part of the real estate industry in Des Moines.
He's involved in so many projects. Yes, he's involved in real estate, but he's also involved in the community. And when you marry those two things up, I think that's what makes him so deserving, is that he's always looking up to see what he can do to make our region better. And it's not just better for Chris, or it's not just better for Knapp. It's better for the region. It's better for the community. It's better for his neighbor.
Chris is deserving of this award due to his outstanding success in our industry, as well as the positive, impactful culture he has created with our team at Knapp Properties through respect, thoughtful guidance, integrity, and commitment to excellence.
What is something that sets Chris apart as a leader in commercial real estate?
Chris is a thoughtful leader and truly leads with his heart. He prioritizes people and relationships in everything he does.
I know that all the groups that he's in, he's very active in. And so I was just amazed at the breadth of how he's touched this community in so many ways.
He's at the table not just to add value, but because he truly wants to do the right thing. He wants to find a win for everyone around the table.
What makes people trust Chris as a leader?
He is patient, calm, composed, and generally unflappable. He has a serenity that comes from self-knowledge, and the more time you spend with him, the more you want to be more like him.
People trust Chris as a leader because of the way he treats each of us. Chris puts it back on us to do the right thing and respects us to do our job. Chris is also a great leader because he stands up for those people who might not have a seat at the table.
His word is regarded in the community as a gospel. You know, he is true to his word.
How would you describe Chris in 3 words?
The first one would be thoughtful. He puts a tremendous amount of insightful thought into every decision that's made, whether it be on behalf of the company, our partnerships, our clients, our investors. He really does try to see all sides of a decision and make the best possible decision. The second one would be genuine. There's not this cloud of mystique that surrounds him. He's a very grounded individual. And then lastly would be generous. Chris gives his time, his talent, and his resources to many organizations throughout the community. And community is a big deal to Chris, and he displays this by providing those services. And it's really admirable how much time he affords those organizations.
Chris is an amazing human being. Chris has performed eminently well. He's smart, he's ethical, he's fair, very hardworking. He's got it all.
I think that Chris as a professional epitomizes professionalism, relationship building, and just overall honesty, which I think is just such a bright spot in the business world.
What is something people might not know about Chris that makes him special?
He's really an onion. And if you have the opportunity to get to know him a little bit more and you start peeling back those layers, you get delightful surprises. His favorite color is orange. He loves Bollywood film. He loves angel food cake and a lot of frosting, but there's so much more. So it's really fun to get to know him and to continue the relationship with Chris because he's just a fun person to know.
Something you may not know about Chris is that he has an extensive motorcycle collection and that everyone here at Knapp Properties is trying to get him to stop riding his motorcycles.
People don't realize how compassionate he is, especially for people that are less off than we are. He has a very big heart. He only goes to movies that have happy endings. So that, I think, is it says it all.
If you could say one thing directly to Chris this morning, what would it be?
Congratulations, Chris. You are extremely deserving of this award. We are so lucky to have you in the city of West Des Moines, working for us, working for the Metro. You have worked to bring in billions of dollars of economic development projects, and we are extremely grateful for everything that you do for us. Congratulations.
Thank you for all the years of guidance and help. You know, we're all in this together, and you're just so important to all of us.
Chris, I just want to thank you so much for taking a chance on me 14 years ago, and I'm so grateful to be part of the NAP team. Congratulations, you deserve this.
Chris, it is a privilege to know you and to be part of your team. There is no one more deserving of this award. Congratulations.
Just keep in mind that your team at NAP, your family at NAP has your back during this time, and we're here for you.
Thank you for 25 years of working together. You've been impactful to me. Learning under you has been tremendous in my career, and I look forward to many years to come.
Thank you for all you do for our region. Thank you for all you do for the Greater Des Moines Partnership and our team. And thanks for all that you've done for me as a leader.
Business record you've chosen well. And Chris, get out there and make a short speech.
Hi, honey. We're here to congratulate you on your, is it serving on the most boards award?
No, I think it's best former softball coach.
I thought it was best dog dad. It's definitely best dog dad.
I thought it was an award for the most Lego purchases.
Is it bougiest motorcycle collection?
You guys, it's the 2026 Commercial Real Estate Professional of the Year Award, and it's a big deal. Chris, day in and day out, we see the dedication you bring to your work and to this community. We're so proud of you and everything you've accomplished. Congratulations.
One more big congratulations to Chris Costa. Chris.
Well, damn, screw the speech. That was tremendous. Thank you, Business Record, for this award. Thank you for all of those who took the time to submit the nominations. I was completely surprised when I received the call in January indicating that I won this award. My employees are awfully sneaky. I had no idea they were doing this. And as you can see, I have the greatest team anybody could have. They lift me up every day. I can't do what I do without the support of the people in our organization. My leadership team, Jake Lundgren, Stuart Ruddy, Brett Highland, Christine Struker, Angie Tessaw, they're the best in the business. And I know this because several of my competitors in here have tried to recruit them away. You'll see a really different picture on the cover of the Business Record than what I have underneath my hat. That picture was taken 3 days before all the hair went. And so from my perspective, the timing turned out pretty well. If I had a bald head like Justin Losner, who I think is kind of the Michael Jordan of baldness, I'd be more apt to wear a hat less often, but that's not my situation. The good news for me, obviously, I'm in the midst of a cancer battle. It's rare form, but they caught it early. I've had chemo, and I'm scheduled to have surgery. Everything's working like it should. I have plans to be around here for many more years, contributing to our community. So enough about that part of it. But just a few words. When I was given the opportunity to join NAP Properties about 29 years ago, and obviously it's one of the best decisions I ever made. Sitting in meetings with Jerry Nugent and Bill Knapp was like a master class in leadership and decision making as it related to real estate. Bill Knapp's commitment to giving back to our community was something I personally had a passion for too, but he encouraged it. He encouraged me. he encouraged our whole organization to give back. And to this day, it's still a big part of our culture. I want to thank some of the organizations that I assist with. I mean, the leaders I get to deal with in civic and nonprofit organizations is just amazing. I learned so much from them. I'm a better person and leader from being involved. Tiffany Tauschek with the partnership, Hannah Inman with Great Outdoors Foundation, Brian Arilko from Prairie Meadows, the Animal Rescue League's leadership, Carol Grione and Tom Colvin, and Sherry Nielsen at Easter Seals. My oldest son, you saw in that video, he was the one with the beard. He's a special needs kid. And the funny thing about the Legos is that since he's been a little guy, that's all he's ever cared about, honestly. And he tells me his collection is worth a couple $100,000. So I believe it because that's all I ever buy for the kid for Christmas and birthdays. But my company, when I went to them with this idea to build a full-size playhouse at Easter Seals, completely got behind the concept. I had employees who knew nothing about Legos, who were out there researching. So we ended up building a playhouse at Easter Seals that looks like a big Lego project. It is, if you ever get a chance to go to Easter Seals campus, I am so proud of the way our organization came together and accomplished that. But that's just, indicative of who the organization is and how Bill Knapp and Jerry Nugent carried the torch. Lastly, or not lastly, but Angie Baker, my executive assistant, tight control of my schedule. The 10 days after chemo, man, she locks down that schedule. She is very protective for me. And finally, my wife, Brianne, who you saw in the video, and she's obviously the rock of the family. I've countless nights at events and different community situations where when our kids were young, she was the only one home taking control. So I'm very lucky to have her in my life. You saw Jim County, a partner of ours. I'll leave you with this final thought. After a recent meeting we had with him, we talked about our real estate projects and some community issues that I was involved with. And he pulls me aside, he says, "Chris, you have a cool life." I don't argue with Jim. He's right. I'm very lucky. Thank you.
Chris, as you can see, everybody's proud to have you as part of this community and everything you've done. Of course, you've seen the hats that folks are wearing today. That's a gesture from his team, and we just added a little fuel behind. But Chris, I hope you know that you mentioned people tried to take people from your team. How about this? We're all on your team as you fight here in the days and weeks coming ahead. We're going to be here. Give Chris one big round of applause finally here. In the magazine, there's a little bit more about Chris. You can learn more about some of the things he's been involved in and some of the causes that he's championing. So we encourage you to support him in the causes that he is putting his time and energy towards. All right, we're going to move on to our program now. And each one of today's panelists so I'm going to go ahead and ask the panel to come on up to the stage. Each one of today's panelists brings varying backgrounds and perspectives from across the commercial real estate landscape. And our goal with the event today is to help give you some depth with a little bit of breadth. So there's no way we can hit on every topic that's going on here in the community, and the insights from this group is going to help give you a little bit of an opportunity to be able to see some of the things that are going on that not only will we be talking about today, but I'm sure will be infused into our products and commercial real estate weekly each week. So here's what you can expect. We're going to start with one question for the whole group. Then we're going to be hearing from each speaker one at a time. And then at the end, if we've got some time, we'll do a little bit of discussion and an opportunity for Michael Crum to ask some more questions. Michael's going to be moderating today. Our panelists with us are Doug Anderson. He's the Chief Commercial Lending Officer of Lincoln Savings Bank. Give Doug a big round of applause. Todd Garner. He's a principal at Substance Architecture. Carrie Cruz, Economic Development Administrator with the City of Des Moines. Joe Petrozinski, Executive Vice President of Development, Construction and Management at Hubble Realty Company. Jocelyn Taylor, the owner of Taylor REP. And a former Commercial Real Estate Pro of the Year, Bill Wright, Senior Vice President at CBRE. Our moderator today is Senior Staff Writer Michael Crum, who covers commercial real estate, is the one who curated today's panel and questions. He does Commercial Real Estate Weekly each and every week. Please give him a big round of applause as we turn it over to him to ask the questions. Michael?
Well, good morning, everyone. Glad y'all can make it out with us today. Thank you to each of the panelists for joining us as well. Our first question, and we always try to keep it really simple just to kind of break people into the flow of things, is uncertainty has been really the primary word used over the past couple of years in the commercial real estate market. And keeping that in mind, thinking of the word uncertainty, how would you describe the real estate market today here in Central Iowa? We'll start with Doug.
Can you hear me okay?
Bring it nice and close.
Bring it close. You bet. Well, first off, Chris, congratulations on your award. And thank you for everything you've done for the community. Best of luck in your fight, and just know you've got an entire city behind you. As it relates to the question, I think we're in a transition period, and I say that for a couple reasons. If you look across the sectors of commercial real estate right now, there's no doubt there's supply that needs to be absorbed into the market. However, I would say, I'd caveat that a little bit by saying it does tend to be submarket specific. And so, thinking of that in consideration with what we're seeing, since the beginning of the year, we have noticed an uptick in new deal activity. So it seems like we're starting to turn the corner a little bit, and we're seeing more deal flow. In terms of the types of deals that we're seeing, it is sector specific. We continue to see multifamily deals, selectively a continuation of suburban market rate multifamily. But then also we've started to see an uptick in smaller infill projects, as well as even some smaller rural market rate housing projects in rural communities in Central Iowa and even outside of it. So the span of the range of projects is certainly dynamic. We also continue to see small box and flex industrial deals. I think that's really driven by the overall health of the small and the middle market business community. I've noticed, I know that we've noticed that on balance sheets of companies that we work with. They certainly have their challenges, but overall, they're healthy and they want to acquire or expand. Before I pass the mic, one commonality that I would point out across all deals that we're seeing is the equity composition tends to remain the same. The equity that's sourcing the projects is either 100% internally raised, or it is a friends and family type of structure with a pre-existing relationship. The GP LP syndication scenario where you've got third-party capital trying to be raised on a passive basis, that market continues to be kind of a challenge. So just kind of a commonality that we're seeing.
Todd. And I'm going to have you guys pull everybody on the panel, bring the mics just a little bit extra closer to y'all. There you go.
Right here?
You could do that if you want.
I'll be short, but I think the market's incredibly optimistic, even given all the indications that it's not. We're seeing a lot more activity. The big companies that left downtown Des Moines create opportunities for smaller companies to backfill some of this. And I think that's really exciting for Des Moines. I moved back to Des Moines in 1989, and this is a town of big ideas. And few people generate those ideas, but then they get behind them and create what is, pretty exciting downtown. Now we got the Market District coming, hopefully on board pretty soon and starting to see activity there. But it's it's those small businesses that are going to create activity during the day to keep restaurants and smaller businesses open. And then at night, we've got enough living activity now in downtown that, downtown is vibrant. There's some concern about, some of the things that happen downtown, but I think it's a really exciting time. And, 5 years from now, I think we'll be really impressed with what's going on. So.
And Carrie, give us your assessment of the current real estate market.
I would describe the current real estate market as being quite resilient despite a lot of the economic headwinds and evolving economic headwinds that we're seeing here in the last year. We're still seeing a really strong volume of development. In 2025, City of Des Moines had over $750 million in permitted value for construction. Not a record-breaking year, but still a very strong amount of development activity happening throughout the city. Echo Todd and Doug's comments. Downtown is thriving, resilient. We have 1,600 housing units in the development pipeline downtown. And I think as we continue to grow that downtown residential population, more of those amenities are going to start to backfill some of those vacant commercial spaces that we have. So a lot of opportunity and feeling pretty optimistic.
Where I see things happening in the market is Des Moines is a very special place. I'm sorry, I forgot to do this before I started. Chris, congratulations on your award. Throughout my past 2 decades plus in this industry, you have always been there as a leader that not only showed up, but committed to everything you have done. And it's made our community a better place. You may be a competitor, but I actually view you as a partner. And thank you for all you've done. In the Des Moines metropolitan area, there is a lot of bright spots. If you look at what's happening downtown, especially south of MLK with the new stadium coming online and a lot of new development in that area, we're seeing great success. That vibrancy is really additive to downtown, and it needed it. If you look around different sub-markets in the Des Moines metropolitan area, you'll see shining stars of advancement in Ankeny, in Waukee. You're seeing a thriving multifamily market. Now, some areas have been quite saturated in the industrial front and in the multifamily side, in the northwest side of the metro. But overall, we're seeing health. We're seeing occupancy starting to climb in our multifamily units. We're seeing economic occupancy turn the corner. And those are good signs of economic growth. And it's absolutely necessary to establish a workforce housing setting for continued growth in the industries in our community. Now, I'm going to say there is a word of caution that everyone in this room needs to really pay attention to. At our state legislature right now, they're discussing tax reform. And I'm sure we're going to hear about this from our panelists. But if I can see anything that might interfere with the progress that we're making, it's definitely a hurdle on shifting tax burden to the multifamily and senior properties. What that would effectively do is put over $1 billion of loans at risk and shut off our workforce housing engine, which is thriving right now and absolutely essential to keep this community afloat. So just a word of caution, I would like everyone to pay close attention to what's happening. I don't think people really understand the math. We had an old colleague, and she spoke many times to you, Chris Sidoris. She used to always say, this is just a game of math. And the math is the same for my competitor at Nat Properties, to any of our competitors in the metro. We all play by the same math. But when you shake up the equation and take away the necessary variables, you actually prevent it from happening. And so please pay attention. We'll probably talk about more of that.
Sounds good. And Jocelyn, what is your assessment of the current real estate market here in the metro?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. Congratulations, Chris. And thanks to our sponsors. I love how you preface this with, this is an easy softball question. It is typically, but I think this year it's a more interesting question than maybe years in the past. I think we've seen a lot of information and data around capital being pumped into our community as of 2025, 2026. We're on track for more records to be set in the economic development and development space. But what are we measuring it on? We've got a great group of people here with diverse backgrounds on this panel, and I think we all use different measuring sticks on what that could look like. My outlook with and my resources, so I'm looking at really local or Iowa-based businesses to work with, and I don't see as much activity with those medium-sized businesses in investment in real estate. However, like it has been in the past. However, I also work with architects very closely. I talk with them very closely, and people like Todd's team or other architects in town in mid 25, we're all asking like, "Whoa, how are you busy? What's your backlog look like?" And at that time, it was a little light. It was a consistent answer was, "Well, it's light. Our backlog is light." That's concerning coming into 2026. Well, flip it on its head come January 26, and now everyone's like, holy crap, all of these projects are coming online, and some of them were from 23 and 24 that were all put on pause. And so that's really exciting to see that some of that activity is coming back. And so I would say, depending upon on how you're measuring this, I think overall we're good, and there is a lot of activity happening, but I always believe there's room to improve. So I'd like to see more.
Okay, thank you. And Bill.
Again, congratulations, Chris. Well deserved. So congratulations. I'd say to this question, being a broker of 30 plus years, it's hard to ever answer this question, very succinctly and with a few comments, because there's so many layers and sectors to our marketplace. But I would say in general, it's been a really strong start to 2026. The brokerage industry, at least we see our numbers are good. It's been a strong start. I would say, as you look at the different segments of the market, it's hard to talk about the real estate industry without kind of foreseeing what some of the challenges, what some of those headwinds are. And, certainly, as you look at our office market, I think, Justin Lossner and I had a conversation last year where there were a lot of big fish, there were a lot of moving parts in the market, and both of us kind of looked at each other and goes, well, 2026 won't be the same way. And here we are in 26, and there's a lot of big fish in the market that are moving around and absorbing more space, growing. What a great indication of continued growth in Des Moines market. Certainly on the industrial side, we have some high cube warehouse stuff we still need to burn through. But on the other hand, the build-to-suit activity is amazing right now in the industrial arena. There's a lot of large build-to-suit projects going on. We just need to burn through some of that speculative. Retail, where I spend a lot of time, the fundamentals are good. Low vacancy, high occupancy, annual year-over-year rent growth. I mean, these are all phenomenal things, but there's very little, unless you live in Waukee, there's very little speculative construction going on. So for those of us in the retail brokerage industry, there's not a lot of moving parts. There's also, we may talk about later, there's a lot of headwinds in the restaurant industry that I think we're facing. So overall, I'm very optimistic. It's been a great start to the year, and I think I'm expecting more of the same as the year finishes out.
All right, very good. Let's get on and move on with our questions for each of you individually. Carrie, I'm going to start with you. I'd like to talk to you a little bit, if we can, about downtown redevelopment. And with the recent move a few months ago of City Hall to its new location on Locust Street, and interest in the redevelopment of the Argonne Armory building. Can you just give us a quick update on where things stand with the Armory project and any interest that you might be seeing in the old historic City Hall?
Yeah, happy to. So end of last calendar year, the City Council authorized White Lotus Group out of Omaha, Nebraska as the preferred developer for the Argonne Armory project. They are planning to incorporate 43 housing units into the building, as well as a 3,800 square foot retail, cafe, coffee shop type of use on the ground floor, and a bar speakeasy for the lower level of the building. We were excited by the mix of uses that project would provide and an opportunity to really activate the riverfront. So since that approval for them as the preferred developer for the site, we are now working through due diligence with the developer, working on kind of early conceptual design and budgets and refining numbers before we proceed forward with preliminary terms of a partnership development agreement.
Okay. And any movement on the City Hall building?
City Hall, we have a couple of groups that are working on concepts for the space, primarily looking at live music, performing arts types of uses, which would definitely fit within kind of the scope of what we're hoping to see, some type of use that would really be an opportunity for the public to still come in and experience the building, enjoy the building, because it really is, it's the people's city hall. So we want to see a very public facing use for that space. We have not received a formal submittal, so we don't really have any plans or anything that we're able to share or broadcast yet at this point. We're hoping closer to the end of the year, we'll have more information that we can share. With it being a very important historic building, there's likely to be historic tax credits and working with the State Historic Preservation Office. And those things just take time to navigate through. And so hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have some more to share on that. In the meantime, we are Council just authorized use for some large rental events to occur in the building. And so we're going to be hosting some nonprofit gala type events, kind of public facing events, so that we can continue to at least keep that building utilized.
Earlier, you mentioned that there's approximately 1,600 housing units in the pipeline downtown. We've all read about other projects about converting office space to housing, the Tower project, and some other locations. Do you see that demand continuing for housing into the near and even the far future?
I do. Downtown is just a unique urban environment to live in. And so I think the demand for more housing is going to be there. With the volume of housing that we have in the pipeline right now, I do see some projects that are gearing up in the planning stages, wanting to pause and just see how those units get absorbed, what the timeline looks like for those units to get absorbed. Some market studies coming back suggesting that performers build in some additional buffer time for lease ups. And so that has a very real impact to project performers. So I think as far as new starts, we'll see somewhat of a slowdown, but I think that demand will continue.
Okay, thank you. Todd, let's move on to you. You in substance architecture were part of the, and it's going to be, spoiler alert, in the magazine today, of the Two Rivers project. Mm-hmm. Talk about that a little bit, about what that work is like to really take a building and add the modern amenities while maintaining the historic character of the building, and what are the challenges in doing that?
Well, first off, is TJ Jacobs in the room anywhere? I think, it's the amount of work he put in, to kind of getting this done with Brad and Jill and others at Two Rivers is pretty amazing. And the city as well, because any of these deals downtown, if they don't have parking available, they're not going to happen. And everything aligned in this project. Great client, great commercial real estate agent. All of us standing in this space that had, drop ceilings, used to be a state office use, and having the vision to kind of say, this could be something, is part of what we do. And then convincing a client, that it could be something, especially when it hits the spreadsheet, is also kind of a challenge. So, these older structures, and there are many of them downtown. The building next door that White's moved into, that Knapp was heavily involved with making that happen, is kind of seeing that there's opportunity there, and that every business is unique, and then trying to figure out how to make that space into something that's fitting for each unique opportunity. These older buildings, especially the one Two Rivers is in, There are building code, challenges, but also just figuring out daylight. That building only has windows on the south side. So you have to nail the lighting, you have to nail the workplace. The clients have to have a vision for today, the struggle with, how many days a week are people working in the office? How do you make that a destination for those people that want to go to that office? And, I kudos to Two Rivers for making that happen, because, it's their management style, it's their work style that allows projects like this to happen. And it was, a great opportunity.
Able to talk about some of the reality checks you had to have with Two Rivers when they kind of came to you and said, this is what we want. And then you said, well, yeah, but this is what it's going to take to do that. You want to, I'm curious what that conversation was like.
It was fun. For them, they were moving out of a building that was over 50,000 square feet and moving into a space that was 22,000 square feet. So working with them to creatively find a way to have faith that there was a place for every one of their employees to work that wasn't an actual workstation or an office. But also on those days when not everybody's in the office, it didn't look like it was an empty office. And they were on 2 floors, yet they wanted to be really connected. So we had to cut a hole in the floor, put a stair in, connect those. So, convincing the building to let us do that, convincing Two Rivers to spend the money to do that. And then the code officials helping us figure out how to make that happen. It all came together. It's, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Bill, let's jump down to you. Some people on the panel have already mentioned some headwinds, and there are some headwinds, particularly in the restaurant industry that we've talked about before, with some closures over the past year or so, but also some new things opening up. I'm wondering how you can kind of explain that dichotomy and kind of reconcile that with what's going on in the market, and as folks here navigate that.
Yeah, there's, we've had some classic restaurants in Des Moines close here recently, and the headwinds in that industry, it all kind of starts with all of us in the room. I mean, we're just not eating out as much. I think the last figure I saw, we were down 8% restaurant sales nationally. I mean, that's when you think about the restaurant industry, that's a huge number. So I think we're starting to feel that in Des Moines. For us in the brokerage world, there's not an industry that you get more calls on as far as I want to open a restaurant right now. Figuring out if they're qualified or not is a question, but certainly, even though some restaurants are closing, there's still people interested in opening concepts. I think the challenge from a landlord, a developer, investor point of view is like, okay, are they qualified, and what are the chances? Because they're expensive. Anyone in this room that's done restaurants will tell you, you might be $300-400 a foot or more to build out a restaurant, and that's your TI is and your MEP is often. Jocelyn would say this is way beyond what the shell cost is. And so it's expensive. And if a landlord's often in partnership with their tenants in a restaurant situation, because if the tenant doesn't make it, all of a sudden you now have a vacant restaurant that's specific to this certain type of restaurant. And then if you have to re-tenant it, you got to tear a bunch of it out and redo it because the next person doesn't feel like it's the right fit. So there's significant headwinds. The headwinds are really people aren't eating out as much. The labor costs are certainly up. I think everyone knows that. And then also, I think food costs, although they've kind of stabilized a little bit, I think when I talk to the restaurant operators, certain commodity prices are just up, they're down, they're up, they're down. They're looking, a lot of times restaurant people and chains are looking at ways to try to stabilize those commodity prices, price of, hamburger, chicken, whatever the case might be. So it's tough. I also think one final comment on the restaurants is, you take a market like Waukee, where there's a lot of new speculative construction right now. Waukee, the Waukee Town Center, the Waukee Kettlestone Central, those types of projects. I mean, when you're building out restaurants, again, the cost is so high that, you know, the tenant's either funding a majority or a part of that, the landlord's funding a part of that. You really need to be careful that you're picking concepts that will long-term work. And it's a competitive industry. There's a lot of people asking you for your restaurant dollar now. So I think the headwinds are going to continue in the industry for a while. You know, certainly when you hear things about Ponca or Django or, you know, the Americanas of the world, that when they're closing, I mean, that's just, I mean, for those of us that have been around a while, it's kind of heartbreaking because you feel like, you know, you feel like you're part of those restaurants. So because you've had great experiences there, and that's tough to handle. But yeah, the headwinds are going to continue, Michael. I don't think they're going to go away anytime soon until maybe Americans decide we're going to start eating out more.
Bill, a quick question. Is that something that is unique to what's going on in Des Moines here, or is this happening across the country too? I'm just curious what it might look like.
I think when you read, it's happening around the country. I think, you know, the really high-end restaurants tend to still be doing pretty well because I think there's enough disposable income out there that people are still willing to you know, buy the $100 steak and have that experience type dinner. And, you know, certainly, you know, brands like Chick-fil-A and, you know, Raising Cane's and some of these are doing extremely well still. But I think it's kind of the ones in the middle, some of those quick, fast casual concepts, they're really struggling to fight for the dinner, but it's happening nationally.
So you need to eat some more cheeseburgers, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Help us out.
I don't think I need more cheeseburgers, but yeah, that's it.
My daughters are addicted to Raising Cane's and DoorDash, so it's probably part of the problem.
Bill, I'd like to talk a little bit about the office market here as well. There's been some real strengths over the past year, again, with the Holmes and Murphy expansion, with the move of American Equity downtown, and then leases at the Atlas building. Those are just some examples that we have of things that are going well. Where are the areas that are still struggling?
Well, I think if, you know, there's everyone, I've heard Adam Caduce say it like 90 times, you know, flight to quality. And he's exactly right. I mean, people are looking for amenities. You as employers, you want to provide amenities to your employees because it's hard to recruit employees. So you got to be in office buildings that provide amenities, fitness centers. You know, now, you know, at the Atlas building, Wiederstein's got 3 golf simulators and a speakeasy. I mean, these are all things that attract employees. So those buildings that have done that are doing really well, actually, Michael. I mean, right now, if you're downtown and you have a 10,000 foot Class A tenant, I mean, I think Carrie will back me up there. You have like 2 or 3 options. I mean, it's incredible how few options there are for Class A. So the other side of your question is, where are we struggling? It's the buildings that have not invested into their infrastructure, their CapEx needs, have not built those amenity packages that tenants and their employees are really seeking. So, I mean, you have a project like that myself and Grant and Tyler Dingle are going to be involved in. It's Regency West. You have a project like that where it was bought by a Chicago company. Their long-term vision is they're going to just go ultra Class A, heavily amenitize it. They've hired a very expensive architect to do that, and they're going to come up with all grades of plans. And you know, it'll probably work. I mean, if the current trends continue, that's what employers are looking for. Is now. Do I think part of that project will probably be demolished? Yes. I don't think it'll be 650,000 feet long term, but they'll figure out a plan and figure out how to monetize it. But the things that are struggling right now, if you're a B or C building owner, you know, and I'm in a partnership of a couple B buildings. I mean, it's tough sledding right now if you're in that space.
And Bill, those rents are not available for that type of amenities that you offer in those Class A buildings. Those tenants for B and C can't afford the inputs necessary to make it work, and we have a glut of office in the metro that still needs to be filled in those categories. So I don't think it's going to change soon.
No, it probably not. I mean, I think you have situations certainly like, with what Ruan's doing with 2 Ruan and certainly what Lawmark did and Jesse did down at Financial Center, where they're taking all or portions of their building to multifamily. I mean, I think those are smart moves, because the future of slogging that out in that Class B market, I mean, that's a tough sandbox to play in. You're really fighting to get tenants to consider moving to Class B space. There's still a set of those tenants out there that don't want to pay, $16 net or $17 net. There's still some out there, but there's a lot of opportunities, and you really have to battle to get those tenants.
Joe, I want to bring you into the conversation. Where are gaps right now that the Metro needs to focus on when it comes to housing?
That's a big part of my team's job, is to identify those gaps. And if you look at communities like Ankeny, it's just thriving and it needs additional multifamily support. That's why we're focusing several projects there. The workforce needs a diversity of housing types, and we're bringing that rental type of housing to that community. There's gaps in the Des Moines Metro, throughout the suburbs, for not only workforce housing, but affordable housing. Housing that's focused on entry-level positions, from nurses to teachers. There's a definite need. Those niches, though, require cooperation between government and private equity to make them happen. So the solution to hit those niches really requires cooperation with people like Cary, the city of Des Moines, and others. We are seeing an opportunity that we're going after in Urbandale, just west of Ryder Corner, where we saw a little bit of a multifamily desert island that needs to be filled for workforce housing. We're down south of the bypass, there's need for multifamily housing to service all the industrial expansion that's not only happening in the urban area, but in adjacent communities like Knoxville and Pella. As Bill mentioned, there is interest in build-to-suit industrial, and if you have the right kind of property that has the entitlements in place and services in place, they're gonna find you. But for the most part, office, retail, that's gravitating mostly to the Ankeny area, Bill, and I think it needs to turn off a little bit in the western in Waukee. But there's other areas throughout the metro where retail is thriving. The services we're seeing that attract the quick service food. I know it's not the restaurants we historically like to sit down in, but those are thriving as well.
You brought up some of the legislation that's going through the State House right now. I'm going to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit more about that, about what the impacts could be if some of those changes are made this year.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity, and I am sure Cary can expand on this too. What we're seeing is not really a tax reduction for real estate. We're seeing a shift on where those taxes are going to be applied. And we're moving, right now the proposals, and hopefully these will be changed. They're working on that now, but we need you all to speak up. They're shifting the tax burden to senior and multifamily housing. The impact, and I think I mentioned this, on average for a rental property is about $200 per unit. Let's put that in perspective. We've seen concessions in the marketplace $200 to $400 a unit last year. We're just trying to even catch up to make up that gap. If we add another $200 a month to your rent, it's economically and it's not sustainable from a renter's perspective. They just don't rent. Now let's look at it from a banking perspective. If that $200 a month per unit hits your income statement, it's going to drop your revenues below your debt coverage service ratio. That puts over $1 billion of multifamily, senior housing, any rental scenario loans at massive risk. You know, we have the sophistication in this room to understand that. If there's anything that keeps me up sweating at night, it's what they're talking about right now. So I'm almost trying to use this as a call to action. Please pay attention, because even if you're not in real estate, even if you're not into taking risk in that category, you are taking risk in businesses that depend on it. We need that workforce housing to be successful. Man, before this happened, Des Moines is set up for greatness. We finally got the formulas together. We're seeing the market turn around. Everything is jiving. Our partnerships with the cities can't be stronger. And it was a blessing moving forward into 2026. So this is a big headwind hurdle that I just, again, would like everybody just watch for, especially bankers. Please speak up, because it's going to hit you too. So
Joe, can you play out for us, if that were to go through, what some of the effects would look like and maybe when we would start seeing that?
You know, we pay our taxes in arrears. So it would be in that 2028 timeframe where you'll start seeing the real impacts. But we're actually seeing the impacts today. Investors are sitting on the sideline going, Iowa, what are you doing? You know, this isn't happening in Omaha. They're thriving. They're putting together incentive packages and going the opposite direction. This isn't happening in Minnesota, in Missouri, or adjacent states. I'll leave Illinois out of the equation. They're a little different. But but the thriving areas in the Midwest, you know, they're sitting there going, bring your customers to me. And we're seeing investments say, take a pause here, going, what's going to happen? And that just slows us down. You know, we have the golden goose. I would say it's just starting to lay copper eggs, though. But we can't tear it open to think there's more inside, right? So again, let's get back to where we are today. Let's do sensible things. Another portion that they're proposing is to pull out the school portion of tax increment financing. For those of you who don't know what tax increment financing is, it's where the developer can use. So you take the property in its current condition, it pays taxes. Any value you add on top of that for a set amount, and it's negotiated with the cities, the developer can use those taxes to fill in financing gaps, to make rents fall, to make affordable housing a reality, to make workforce housing a reality. Again, it's all math. We all play by these same math games. We have to provide certain returns to investors to choose Iowa. It's a capital stack, and we use that tax increment financing. We use our risk, our investment to gather those taxes and fill those gaps. Now the proposal is to take a third of that away. And if we take a third of that away, what happens? Project doesn't happen. Don't hit investment returns. It's not like the developer shoving that money in the pocket. We're pretty transparent when we bring these performas to our communities and have them invest, and becomes public information. Just doesn't happen. But I think there's a degree of misunderstanding of how that all works at our legislature. And I think there's a misunderstanding to real benefit to Iowa on how that TIF fuels projects. We often hear, let's take Coralville, Iowa City, for example. People just complain about the battle of TIF financing that Coralville used against Iowa City, and everybody thought that was a complete disaster. Go drive out there. You couldn't have the more rich school districts and the amount of investment that's happening from North Liberty to Tiffin to Iowa City because that happened. We would not have the awesome things that happened in Des Moines if it wasn't for that. So we're pretty protective of our position on this. We're putting up the good fight. I just encourage all of you to help participate in that and make sure we keep that goose alive, because I think it can produce a lot of golden eggs if we do.
Carrie, do you want to chime in on that?
Is this There we go. Thank you, Joe. Those talking points are all really important. The reality is it's taking so much longer to put a deal together than it has in the last decade. All of the 1,600 housing units in the pipeline in downtown have tax increment financing incentives as part of making those projects viable, part of making them feasible. With the changes proposed, just the TIF piece would be pull 15% of TIF off the table. So that's a huge number to have to go out and try to source via private equity with the expectations for the returns that Joe's talking about. That's a lot of projects getting put on hold. I certainly will be the first to admit I think property taxes need to be simplified. I think there does need to be an overhaul on the property tax system, but there also needs to be alternative revenue streams that are figured out and how we continue to attract economic investment across our state. One of the things that we as a region do better than any of our peers is our public-private partnerships, and limiting or reducing tax increment financing without some kind of backfill or alternative revenue source to attract economic investment, I think will have a very negative impact on our ability to compete nationwide.
Doug, Joe brought up the impact it could have on lending.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I would just echo Joe's sentiments. Right now, if you look at the community banking market, you know, the health of credit of loan portfolios is pretty healthy, or the composition of portfolios is pretty healthy. If something like this is enacted, it's going to entirely shift the capital focus of banks. So it's gonna convert from capital deployment to capital preservation. Now, ultimately, every day we've got to manage both sides of that, right? We're doing both, but community banks live and breathe off of commercial real estate, and so if you add $200 a unit a month in property taxes, it's going to turn cash flows upside down overnight. And when you compound that with economics that are already tough, it's going to make for a very challenging environment.
Okay. Chapman, would you like to offer any thoughts on the property tax legislation? We'll move on. I'm wondering, from the work that you do with your clients, how is AI influencing their decisions?
Well, I have my clients. I've had several clients that have, over the years master planned, kind of obviously with their real estate investing in real estate, master planned to build with the mindset of growing. And with that growth, that means expanding. So they're purchasing property to build on, and then build a second building on or expand upon that by 50%. I can think of 2 or 3 that I've worked with in the last few years that had that plan. And because of AI and their investment now in AI, they are slowing that master plan or stopping that master plan because their capacity to manage clients is much greater due to the tools of AI than they were when they were making their real estate decisions 5-7 years ago. And so an example I'm thinking of, their team members are able to manage 3 or 4 more clients per human than they were a year ago. And when you start thinking about, their growth, they're not even growing into the building that they built anymore, because they're continuing to utilize and advance and invest their AI tools, which is allowing their capacity to manage more clients, with the people that they have. And so that does help from a investment standpoint. When you do look at an organization, their 2 biggest investments are their people and their real estate, and those things they're completely integrated. They're meaningful for both of those. And so when AI becomes this, new part of that investment, we might start to see, some balances change a little bit. I don't know yet, but AI is advancing so quickly that who knows where this will take us in 5 years. And then on the other side of that, construction, I see a lot of opportunity in the construction industry to advance efficiencies in projects. Everyone wants their project done tomorrow, and so we're constantly looking for ways to be more efficient. And I think AI, robotics, getting them into the field, taking off some of the daily tasks of a superintendent and shifting the data gathering on sites, maybe safety instruction, different things like that could be shifted into AI for construction and the AEC industry in general, helping us be more efficient to deliver projects quicker. So the two sides of that story. But
okay, Joe, do you want to?
I'm going to give Jocelyn some kudos. She's actually one of our favorite owner reps to work with. But I will say she demands accuracy. She demands proper information to be supplied and quickly to who she's representing. So what do we do at Hubble Realty Company? We use AI in our construction processes through Procore and other methods to make sure that we're producing the best results for Jocelyn to review. And because we're able to do that quickly and more effectively, we get a better result for who she represents. We get a better result from the end customer that's producing all the inputs that go into that project. So it's been really helpful in the owner rep and construction side of the business. It's really streamlined estimates. It's proven those estimates, and really it's impacted real estate across the board in a way where it just makes us much more effective.
Jocelyn, I'd like to stay with you for a couple more minutes. When a company is making a real estate decision, what are some things that are commonly overlooked in that process?
Well, again, thanks, Joe. Your team's great to work with as well. It's been fun.
I had to plug you, sorry.
Thanks, you're the best. So what's overlooked? I don't know if it's necessarily overlooked, but maybe one thing that is a challenge, dream crusher, is budgets. So, and I become the dream crusher, but people kind of, sometimes they get bad advice before, someone in the industry, whether an owner's rep, a developer, broker, they might get bad information. And so they're like, well, I can build this, 50,000 square foot building for under $15 million for office space. And you just kind of like get a punch in the gut. Sometimes they say, hey, I've got a bucket of money. I've got $15 million and I have to build 50,000 square feet. So can we do that? And we're going to do this. And so we have to kind of take a step back, help them work through that, through different scenarios. And maybe it isn't building a new building. Maybe it's more of that master plan, considering different options of the new building. Maybe it's buying something that's existing. Maybe it's continuing a lease or moving into a new space to them that would be a leased space, just to address maybe space needs. But really backing out of that and working with them on the different scenarios to develop a plan, then take that forward. But in that, I rely on my partners in the industry, my resources in the industry. So immediately I'm working with a broker, getting understanding of what is out there, what can we leverage for this buyer to maximize their dollar. and get them what they want. So, I would say budget's always top of mind for everyone. So not necessarily overlooked, but definitely something that I have found to be that could cause a pause in the process, or just needs to be completely reevaluated.
Doug, I'd like to come back to you for a little bit. Looking at the clock, we really only have a few minutes left already. I'm curious, how are banks and financial institutions feeling about investing in downtown Des Moines versus maybe some of the suburban markets?
That's a really good question. I guess I can't really speak to the market, but I could speak to us specifically. I would say we're cautiously optimistic about about the level of activity. In fact, I can't be too specific, but knock on wood, we're getting ready to commit to a project downtown here in the next 60 to 90 days. The thought process that goes into that decision is, sometimes it pays to be a little pioneering. This project that we're looking at is first to market, and it's generally, look at unit count relative to the total. It's a pretty small scope, thinking of the total units that'll be delivered. So we're dipping our toe in the market, and because of all the demand drivers that do persist down there, and I think it'll continue to get better. Like I said, we're optimistic, but we're cautious about it.
Okay.
Yep.
And with a high volume of originations in 2021 and 2022, with those now maturing here this year and next year, how is that going to change the financial landscape over the next couple of years?
That's quite the question. Because it could be a myriad of things. And I'm not going to make this, the first thing that comes to mind, and I'm not going to make a prediction, but I think the environment is ripe for it. It could create, an uptick in transaction volume. And the reason why I say that is you're going to have loans renewing at a cost of capital at 1.5 to 2 times, what their in-place yield currently is. At the same time, cap rates have not moved parallel with interest rates. And so it creates a scenario as an investor when your loan's maturing or repricing, you're going to move, you've got one of two scenarios. You can, because of the cost of capital, you can take less return, or you can make a capital call to right size the deal. Or with cap rates remaining somewhat favorable, you can exit the deal, recoup your investment, and recycle it into today's market, assuming that opportunity exists. So I do think it could create the potential for some increased transaction volume.
Okay. I'm just going to run down the row here and ask you all a quick question. I forgot to bring my magic 8-ball with me again this year, but I want you all to tell everyone in this room what's one thing they should really be paying close attention to this next year. Doug, let's start with you.
I would go with, we tend to be closer to multifamily than anything. I think we're about to embark on the battle of the submarkets when it comes to unit deliveries. So that's something that we're really paying attention to. Waukee is Waukee. There's a lot of supply there, and I think there will continue to be. But I also think you're going to see a push in Ankeny and then the downtown core as well. So that's something that we're paying really close attention to.
Okay. And Todd?
To go off what Joe and everybody else's concerns are, I'm really concerned about what's happening at the state and how that's going to impact the city of Des Moines to deliver on the quality of life that we're all used to and pretty much demand. So the next year is going to be very important for the future of Des Moines.
I'm going to echo Todd's comments. I think what's going on at the legislature could be incredibly impactful for how the city is able to deliver the services that our residents and our businesses expect, and our ability to partner on real estate deals that really matter and make a difference for our community.
I already spoke my piece, so I'm going to shift this to something in the spirit of Mr. Costa. Don't forget about the nonprofits, the people out there that need us. That man has spent his whole career supporting people like Easter Seals, Child Serve, you name it. That guy has put his heart and soul into it, and that's really what builds our community. So I'm going to ask, the one thing that we all pay attention to is let's sustain and enhance our participation and giving to those efforts, because that's something that's really strong here in the Des Moines area, and let's keep it going. Thank you, Mr. Costa.
Okay, well, I'll stay a little bit in that vein. Something to know or pay attention to is, as I work with nonprofits and communities, there's I work with them from an owner's rep perspective, but we're looking at getting grants and submitting for grants. And so there is a lot of money out there to get and use for organizations that want to expand, invest in their people and their real estate. And I was just informed the other day, we're looking at, or we've just submitted for a grant that the pool annually is $10 million that is then distributed among communities and nonprofits for whatever it is that we're specifically going after. And it comes up and renews in June. There's only been $1 million of that $10 million used. So there is a lot of money out there if you are in the nonprofit sector and helping a nonprofit in their real estate decisions. There are opportunities to help them bigger with looking at grants.
And Bill?
The tax issue is my number one, but we already covered that. I would say if I had to ask a favor from you all is, Des Moines was built, I believe, on just incredible sponsorship from our large corporate employers here in town. And the reality is, through mergers, acquisitions, relocations, there's not as many of those available. So I think leaders in our community are always looking at who's the next one to step up. So I would just ask, when you see someone step up, they donate to Icon Water Trails, they donate to any of the great projects we have going on in our community, where they're putting people resources, cash resources into those projects. Do me a favor, call them and say thank you. That's how Des Moines gets built, is we care about each other and compassion for each other. And that would be my request, is this just to continue to appreciate for what we have, what we continue to build.
All right. Well, I appreciate all of you participating today. Chris, let's turn it over to you for some housekeeping.
All right, a few housekeeping things to wrap us up today. On May 14th, we have our second Power Breakfast of the year at the Krause Gateway Center. We're going to be talking about health and the impact of health on our community and the economic impact on our businesses here in the community. And the conversation surrounding commercial real estate doesn't stop here today. Of course, we'll have the magazine afterwards. Make sure to grab one on your way out today. We're going to unveil that in just a moment. But of course, also we'd encourage you to sign up for Commercial Real Estate Weekly. If you don't already sign up for that, you're not sure what it is, it's free. It comes out on Wednesday. Michael puts it together, and he does a fantastic job. We're so fortunate to have him doing that each and every week to keep everybody together. We can't do things like this and support products like Commercial Real Estate in the magazine without the support of all you in this room. So thank you to all of our sponsors, Community State Bank, Mid-American Energy, Whitfield, Eddy, and Law for helping sponsor today's event, and everybody who helps support the publication and the e-newsletter as well. When we're at our best, we're able to help surface challenges so that this community can then work on those challenges to help solve them. That's what we do best. We don't try to play gotcha journalism. That's not our approach. Our approach is to help surface a challenge so that we can talk about what those solutions look like. When you all are supporting events like this and we're able to talk about property taxes and what the effects might be, that gives everybody tools in this room to go out and talk and help make something happen. So thank you for your support. Give yourselves a big round of applause for helping support the causes here today. A few more thank yous. Again, an extra thank you to Chris. lost where we're at. There you are. An extra thank you to Chris and congratulations on the CRE Pro of the Year. Give Chris one last final round of applause. Michael Crum moderated today. He does a fantastic job. We're so lucky to have an experienced journalist on our team that can talk about these topics and learn from all of you and then report that back in the community. Give Michael a big round of applause for his work today. We're going to unveil the magazine now, and I want to give a thank you to our entire team who helped contribute to the success of this year's publication, our editorial team, along with our copy editor, photographers, our design team, for their hard work making this fantastic resource. The magazine, of course, wouldn't be possible without the support of our chapter sponsors, so a big thank you to SVN, West Bank, Tenfold Architecture and Engineering, R&R, and First National Bank, and the countless other companies that help support the magazine. So before we go, we're going to go ahead and unveil the cover. So we're actually going to have Todd help out Michael. Now, this is the trickiest part of the whole event, is getting that cover off without knocking everything over. So we want to make one last risky element. So we'll get all right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And big round of applause, right? The cover was photographed by our own Dwayne Tinky and features the transformative new office space of Two Rivers Marketing with the help of partners including Substance Architecture. They were able to help shrink its footprint by more than half while increasing space for collaboration and adding conference rooms. You heard a little bit about that today. You're going to find the magazine on your way out. Make sure to grab a copy of that. It's got a variety of different stories from each of the different sectors. Great way to stay plugged into what's going on in this community. A final close here. Can I get a big round of applause for our speakers? We're so grateful for your expertise and forecasting abilities and putting yourself out there today. I say it at almost every event. It's our job to help you do business better. That's why we do the work that we do. That's why we do the events and the news that we do. So if there's something that our team can do to help you and help your business in the future, don't be afraid to reach out our way to myself or Michael or anybody on our team. We'll be happy to help. Thank you for attending, and thank you for doing the hard work to build our city in a great way. Have a great rest of your evening.